What's up, friends? Welcome to Web3 Academy, a place for entrepreneurs, creators, and marketers to explore and learn how to use Web3 to transform business models and create thriving communities. Enjoy this next episode.
Welcome, Web3 Academy. It is the weekly roll-up, March 10th. Here we are, another week of so much activity going on in the Web3 world, and we are here to break it all down for you.
The best day of the week.
The best
Isn't it?
Day of the week. Yes. I'm Jay Hamilton, coming at you from Whistler. I'm an entrepreneur, a marketer, and a Web3 enthusiast and Web3 builder. And as always, I am here with
Kyle Reedhead. I am in Florida at the moment, in New Smyrna. Just here for a week visiting family, and then I'm off to Nicaragua, which is where I'll be for the next few months. I'm also an entrepreneur and creator, and just love Web3 and excited to talk about Web3.
Love it. Let's do as we always do, Kai. Before I actually ask for your gratitude, that's what I was going to ask for next. Let me just run down what we got today for the folks listening in. I see we got a couple people joining us in Discord. Shout out to those guys. Today, we've got a bunch of things on the docket. There is no shortage of Web3 news on a week-to-week basis. First up, we're going to talk about the executive order coming out of the United States, President Biden. I'm sure lots of people have seen that, but want to make sure you guys are up to date on what's going on there, because regulation is a coming. Then we're going to talk about International Women's Day the other day. Real highlight on women in Web3. Really exciting to see. Chat about that. We're going to talk a little bit about music in Web3. Obviously, there's a lot happening in the space of music and innovation with NFT marketplaces in Web3. And so there's some news coming out there that we want to break down for you. And then we're going to talk a little bit about Web3 in real life. Web3 isn't just on Discord. There's projects happening that are bringing people into real life and meeting in person. Couldn't you believe it? So exciting to see those projects coming out. So we're going to chat a little bit about that. And then we're going to finish off with the DAO of the month. So I know we got an exciting DAO that we're going to be highlighting today that actually connects to Web3 in real life. So lots on the docket for today. Super excited. Before we get going, Kyle, what are you grateful for today?
I'm grateful for this podcast. I ran a podcast, I don't know, like 4 or 5 years ago in the health and wellness space and longevity space. And I loved it because every week I had an opportunity to speak with a researcher or someone doing something in the space. And I got to just learn so much, or an author or whatever. So super cool. And we're 2 weeks into doing this Web3 Doer Spotlight. We've spoken to two pretty cool individuals who are doing things in the space of Web3. And I can't believe how much we've learned already. I mean, this Tuesday was just an awesome episode with Devin. And I'm excited for it. So I'm excited for the coming year of learning in this podcast.
Awesome. I love it.
What about you? What are you grateful for?
I'm grateful to have power and electricity today because I live in a community in the woods, and I was told earlier this morning that we were losing electricity for the day, and we did not, in fact, lose it. So I was able to be at this podcast. There was a moment when I wasn't sure I was going to be able to be, and it was just a reminder of, I live in Canada and I don't think about some basic things, basic needs, but a reminder of how, especially during these tough times in so many parts of the world, a real reminder of how lucky I am to have something as simple as electricity coming to my home on a regular basis. Feel very grateful for such simple things that allow me to live my life.
Absolutely.
We practice gratitude on a daily basis. Really recommend everyone on the podcast practice gratitude. What a difference it makes to turn your expectations into appreciation by practicing gratitude. All right, before we jump into all the news I've got, Kyle, what's the Web3 word of the week?
I think the Web3 word of the week is fear, or FUD, I guess, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. The markets and just the world of Web3 and crypto right now just have a lot of fear, obviously, with what's going on in Ukraine, in Russia. And then you just have the regulation, which some people are scared of. We're going to talk about it. I don't think we should be. We've thrown everything you can possibly throw at this space right now in Web3 and crypto. And a lot of people have a pretty negative sentiment. I'm as bullish as ever. I'm as excited as ever to be in Web3. And I think there's no better time to be building and creating in Web3. So there's no fear on this from me, but it seems like everything I see on Twitter and in the media is all about fear right now. So that's the Web3 word of the day or week.
Yeah. You nailed it. You nailed it on the head with that one. So let's give them some things to get excited about here. Why don't we, Kyle?
Let's do it. So the first one we're going to discuss today is the executive order on ensuring responsible development of digital assets. This came out on March 9th from Biden, basically Biden and the team. We mentioned, I think a couple weeks ago in one of the roll-ups that this was going to come out. It got a little bit delayed because of what's going on in Ukraine, but it is here. And actually, it's pretty positive. I mean, listen, the executive order, nothing is happening. Nothing's changing. We don't know anything yet, but basically what they did was break down. I think they broke it into 6 different categories, which we'll scroll through. If you want to scroll down to the first, I think it's a couple down here. And they basically just talk about what the purpose of this executive order is, and what they want the agencies to build regulation around. So let's just scroll through it and then we'll talk about our thoughts. Where's the first one here? Okay, so the first one here is protect consumers, investors, and businesses. So basically, the whole idea of what the SEC is there for, and basically what they're all trying to do is just protect us, make sure that we're not getting scammed, and we're not getting screwed over. And a lot of this is really, I think, talking more about like exchanges and making sure that they're following all the right procedures. But we'll see kind of where they go with that. The second one is protect U.S. and global financial stability. The U.S. is worried that they're going to lose their reserve currency. And I think they know that they're on a big decline anyway. And there's other countries that are looking to take over, i.e. China. And hopefully, and it seems like what they're realizing is that crypto is an opportunity, if they embrace it, for them to maintain their status. And they can do that through stable coins by distributing the US dollar kind of throughout the world, and especially throughout the internet, which other currencies don't have that benefit of right now. So that could be a huge, huge opportunity for them to actually save the US dollar. And then just also they want to keep stability and all that. So we'll see where they go there. But it looks like they're embracing it rather than kind of being afraid of it at that point. Address illicit finance is number 3. So what are the rules and how does crypto work when there's sanctions, like what we just saw with Russia? And most of, if not all of crypto exchanges have done well with that, and they've agreed and followed all the rules and done everything they should do. They also want to protect from money laundering, financing of terrorism, and cybercrime. Look, crypto is not used for this. I mean, I think the last time they did a big study on this, because they were trying to show that crypto was so bad and used for all this, it was like under 1% is used for this. I don't even know how they could figure that out, but most of crypto is not this. It used to be back in the day when it first started, and you had Bitcoin being used for Silk Road, but nowadays it's used for just so many better things and positive things. So I wouldn't be too afraid of that. So number 4 is to reinforce U.S. financial leadership. This ties along with what I mentioned before, of just trying to ensure that the U.S. is a leader in not just on the internet, but a leader in the financial world. And so crypto is an opportunity for them to do that, should they embrace it. Number 5, access to safe and affordable financial services. This one's great. This one, they actually see that there is a benefit here to crypto and to decentralized finance. Although I think they're not as much talking about decentralized finance. I think they're more talking about like BlockFi and Celsius and the more centralized ways to use crypto to like generate yield and get loans, et cetera. They don't really mention decentralization at all in this entire executive order, which we'll talk about more in the next message. But either way, it looks like they see the benefit of crypto and that it can give access to everyone in the world. What they recognized in this document is that many Americans are underserved in the banking system, and crypto is an opportunity to bank the unbanked. And I think that is amazing that they even see that. Number 6, and honestly, the most important, I think, is they want to support technological advances. So they don't want to hinder what's happening in Web3 and crypto. They want to support it. They want to make sure that they're not putting a stranglehold on it, and that it can thrive and grow. So hopefully they create good regulation to allow for that. It seems similar to what happened with the internet back in the 90s. Originally, they wanted to ban the internet, which would be insane if they did, if you could imagine that. But they were close to. They actually had to go to a lot of different lawsuits and things to figure all that stuff out. And then they ended up having pretty decent regulation. Looks like we're going to go on the same path for Web3 and crypto. So overall, I think this could be amazing. And honestly, this is what we need. Let's jump to the next one. But I think that this regulation, when it comes through, is going to be so crucial, because there's right now so many businesses and investors and people on the sidelines waiting for some sort of regulation, some sort of clarity. If we look at what's happened in the last 2 years, the amount of VC investment in this space has just gone to like ginormous amounts, like unheard of amounts. And the reason is because these people are afraid to put their money into the actual assets themselves, because they don't know if there's security or what's going to happen with regulation. And so while we don't care too much about pricing in Web3 Academy in this podcast, the idea here is that if this money doesn't just go into VC, into like the private companies, and it goes into the decentralized or the protocols and into the assets, that just gives the community so much more investment and so much more capital to then go and find more developers and create more projects and just do so much more. We need that money for innovation. And when it's stuck just in private funds or in private equity, we can't access that. It's not liquid, right? Until they go, like Coinbase, until it goes public. So it's amazing for it to get into the actual ecosystem and buy the actual assets, because then we have millions or billions that we can start to use to deploy elsewhere throughout the community. So that's really what we want. The next tweet here we have is from Tom Emmer. He is the congressman for Minnesota's 6th district, big advocate of Web3 and crypto. And he pointed out one thing. He pointed out that decentralization is the entire point of crypto, yet it's not mentioned once in this entire executive order. And so he fears, do they really get it? Do they really understand what's going on here? Yes, we need regulation with the crypto exchanges and, the open seas of the world and the BlockFis, et cetera. And that's all fine and well. And that's really all they're probably going to be able to regulate. The question is, what do they do to the decentralized stuff, to the Uniswaps and the Aves and the DAOs and whatever else is going on? How's that going to work? And that's what we're really unsure of, because they don't even mention it. So I don't even know if they get it yet. And honestly, I think a lot of people in this space don't really get it completely. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. Any thoughts on that, Jay?
I mean, I think it's tough to say that not mentioning it was bad news, right? Because as well, we're posturing here, right? We're not sure exactly where this is going to go. I like to take the optimistic approach that what came out of this announcement was fairly positive on the whole, right? And yes, there is going to be, the one that is going to be pushed back is, the government's going to want control at some point over some, when they believe it to be terrorism or cybercrime. So there's going to be some things to learn, but on the whole, I think relatively positive about it, because the main thing to me is that they want to keep innovation in America, and that's going to force them to be more accepting of it.
Absolutely. I think the big thing for a lot of people to understand, if you're not fully into this space yet, is there is a big difference between the crypto that most people uses and the crypto applications that most people use, like Coinbase and OpenSea and BlockFi and Celsius and I don't know, whatever the other popular ones are, these are all centralized exchanges and they have to follow all the same rules as a normal bank or any other normal company in the US. And it was kind of a lot of gray area there. So I think they're trying to tackle a lot of that, which is great. The future of Web3, though, for those that are kind of fearing that maybe they're going to take away a lot of what we're trying to do, is the future of Web3 is we don't use any of those things. Everything ends up being decentralized on the blockchain. And we're still far from that being the case. We still have to rely, I mean, all those things I just named are the most used things in crypto, and none of them are built on the blockchain. They just host some of the tokens that are on the blockchain and do things with them. So there's a big difference between real crypto and where we're like what we're actually building out. That is 5 years from now, 10 years from now, the full decentralized internet that we want, versus like the kind of, it's almost like some people call it Web 2.5. It's like an interim, it's here for now to help us figure this whole thing out. And then eventually it goes the full decentralized route, which then no one can really regulate. It's regulated by its community, by its owners. And that's the world that I want to see eventually. But if we look at this last tweet here, it's from Blockworks. We have a bunch of good news. I mean, people are talking about all the fear, and I don't know, I see US puts out the executive order that wants to lead crypto innovation. That to me is super bullish. That's huge for the space. You have Dubai is creating crypto legal framework right now. They have become very, very crypto friendly and want to bring a lot of crypto entrepreneurs into their country. You have South Korea just elected a pro crypto president. And they already have a lot of innovation in crypto there. So to me, when I look at what's going on, there's just a lot of good things happening. And yes, there's a lot of bad things happening too. And it's a fearful world out there. But all the things we need to be put in place, like regulation, like getting people who lead countries that are pro crypto, it's all happening. And so I just want people to like, forget about prices, forget about the market. I mean, we're about to finally hit this phase where like, we have clarity and we have regulation, and now you can start to build and do things in the space and you're okay to do it. And that is just going to be a game changer for innovation, probably for prices, but for just people flowing into the space. And I'm so excited. There literally is no better time to be building in Web3 than right now, because I think it's just about to explode. That's not financial advice.
Couldn't agree more. I love that you couldn't help but mention price in there, even though you said you wouldn't. You're like, it would be good for price though. Another thing that broke earlier today was that the Romanian central bank approved an acquisition of an e-money institution. So it's like every day, every hour, every minute, there is more onboarding happening. I think one thing that we all need to understand is when things change of this nature happens, you need to change to happen at the individual level, but you also need to change to happen at the institutional level. And we're talking about this institutional level, and both ebb and flow and pull. And so far, there's been all the change has been with the consumer level, and it's been the community creating these Web3 projects and creating these cryptocurrencies. And now what we're seeing is institutions catching up. And as Kyle said, that's where the massive flow of money will happen. And once that flow of money happens, that opens up the opportunity to way more people.
It's not just institution level, it's nation state level as well.
True.
It's really what a lot of news was. So it's all big. Yeah. All right, what do we got, Jay? What's next?
Next up, I want to chat about International Women's Day the other day, because it was really exciting to see the focus on Web3. International Women's Day did not just celebrate women. There was a lot of initiatives that came out talking about the need for more women in Web3. And I think both Kyle and you and I talk about that all the time. We need more women in the space. We're always looking for opportunities to get more women into projects. There's a stat I saw that only about 5% of NFT projects have women involved in them. Now, I'm not sure how they got that stat. And so, the exact, the fact of that aside, I think that there's a need for more women in the space. And there were some really exciting announcements that came out during International Women's Day just 2 days ago.
First, I find it, before you get into that, I find it I've been reaching out to a bunch of people to come on the podcast for the Web3 Doer Spotlight, and we have a bunch of amazing guests lined up that I'm super excited about. But 80% of them are women. So I was like, wait, there's not women in Web3? That's all I talk to. So I don't know what's going on, but thankfully, I guess I'm speaking to the right people. But yeah, we have a bunch of incredible women coming on in the next few weeks to talk about their projects and things they're doing in Web3. So I don't know. Maybe my Twitter is just is doing some weird things, but all I talk to is women in Web3. So
well, that's good. That's good, because that's the direction we want to go. And
yeah,
so the first announcement that was made was the World of Women team, which was an NFT project that dropped a few months ago and did incredibly well. They partnered up with Sandbox, and together they've committed to create a foundation called the World of Women Foundation, which is going to focus on education and mentorship, really, around increasing female participation in Web3 and in the metaverse and in all these things that we're talking about here. And so that $25 million is going towards a new foundation that they're setting up together called the World of Women Foundation. So if you're a woman out there and you want to get in Web3, check out the World of Women Foundation. There's going to be a lot of opportunities coming out, and a lot of organizations looking to give grants and looking to give money to women to get involved. So really exciting to see that. The other thing that we saw, just sort of the same theme, Unstoppable Domains came out, and they also created a education initiative, again, focused on women in Web3. And as part of their education initiative, what was really notable about their partnership and their initiative was the amount of supporting organizations involved. So they had about 65 supporting organizations, including Deloitte, Google, Polygon, Gemini, Consensus, large organizations, both from Web 2 and from Web 3, that are going to be supporting that initiative. So really exciting to see.
I love it. Yep. We need more women. We need, the whole point of Web3 is equality to the world, right? That's really what we're trying to do. We're trying to make it a level playing field. So the more that we can have, people from different parts of the world, we can have males, we can have females, we can have different ages, whatever, and have perspectives from all of these different people and types of people. Mm-hmm. The better we can build this out for everyone. If it's only a male dominated perspective, well, it's, whatever we build out is going to be more, who knows, guided by testosterone, right? We want this to be diverse because we need that. And so women, if you are at all interested in Web3, please get involved.
Yeah, I think you make a really good point, Kyle, about the philosophy of Web3 and why we are dedicating our life to Web3 is because it's so much more than a career. It is a way of life, really, right?
100%. It's a revolution.
And it's a perspective that is completely different from what we've been able to do before, right? Because it allows this permissionless, trustless space to exist with ownership to the individual. And so I think that's something that gets lost in all of, again, coming back, unfortunately, to all the money talk and all the price talk, right? And this is something that Devin, who we had on our podcast earlier this week, give that podcast a listen because it was so great. He talked a lot about how really Web3 has become his guiding philosophy in life, not just his career. And I think I also heard somebody say the other day they got ERC 720 tattooed on the back of their neck, and so you can see there's passion here way beyond just a typical career.
That is a ridiculous tattoo.
You would love that. Yeah. Who's going to be the first to get a Web3 tattoo between the two of us?
Oh God, I don't know. Dude, I don't even have any tattoos. Do you?
Neither do I. Okay, so this is
probably neither.
But I tell you what, if we grow Web3 Academy to a certain size and we can, maybe I'll think about it. I might commit to a tattoo. How about that?
I like that a lot. I'm down.
Okay, switching gears. Want to chat today about Web3 and music. And I wanted to bring up Web3 and music for sort of two reasons. One, music is a 50 billion plus industry that has the potential to onboard millions, perhaps billions of people to Web3, right? You know, when we compare, we talk a lot about gaming in this way, right? Gaming has been such a leader at onboarding people into Web3. Well, music can do that same thing. What's so powerful about music is music appeals to the masses, whereas gaming is really the younger generation, right? So there's a lot of potential for music to onboard a lot of new people to Web3. So that's one
Gaming is
perspective.
like 3 billion people. Let's not call that the masses.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Apologies. It's half the world. It's half the world. I think it's just a different
demographic.
Customer,
Yeah,
demographic,
100%.
Right? The other reason why music is so interesting for Web3 is because when we think about the artist and making a living, I got something pulled up here that points out that on Spotify, there is about 8 million artists on Spotify. Okay, only 13,000 of those artists make at least $50,000 per year. And the reason $50,000 per year is such a magic number is because that is the median household income in America. So that means that, I don't even know how to do the quick math, that 99% of artists on Spotify are not making a living, right? So there's a problem for the artist, for the creator that needs.
And it's not like they're not getting listens. Like they still are getting thousands or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of listens and still making nothing from it. That's just because Spotify just takes it all.
Yeah, well, because Spotify pays out fractions of a cent for a listen, right? So the business model is not sustainable for the artist. So we got music here. It's going to onboard a lot of people, and then we also have this opportunity to put more money in the hands of the artists. And I think a lot of us saw 3Lau or Blau, I never know how to say his name, do his NFT drop as sort of the first big onboard onto music, and that was really exciting to see. And that just sort of got us started, but that was a little bit early. Now I think there's more happening in the music space. And the first article I have pulled up here is sort of a throwback to the 2000s, and that's LimeWire is back. You remember LimeWire, Kyle?
I remember LimeWire. I mean, I remember Napster. That was the first one that I was on. I loved Napster. And then it got shut down. And I don't know if LimeWire was the next one, but it was LimeWire. Then there was like Kazaa. Do you remember Kazaa?
Yeah.
What was it? There's a bunch. Something Bear. I remember something Bear because those got shut down. There was something Bear, that Bear Share or something. I don't know. But yeah, I remember LimeWire. I love LimeWire.
So LimeWire has announced that they are building a NFT platform focused on music. And so they haven't given us many details as to what they're doing yet, but they've got a great team behind it. I was taking a look at the team, top management team. They got incredible advisors behind it, and it's just showing that that's where so many of the great talent are going right now. A lot of people are interested in Web3, and a lot of people interested in music Web3. And I have to bring up too, because I just think it's so funny, is you guys might remember that. So LimeWire shut down because they got sued, and LimeWire settled out of court. But I think that I remember the number was about 100 million that they settled for out of court. And this is back in the 90s, right? Or maybe it was the 2000s, actually, early 2000s.
Yeah.
And here we are, here we are 20 years later, and they're reinventing themselves basically with the same mindset that they had when they first started. And so, I don't even know what the analogy is for something like that, something that dies and then comes back to life, but
well, it's
exciting.
And it's the community that brings it back, right? Like this is the thing about Web3 is it's all about community, and the community of LimeWire. Like it was so big back then. Everyone used LimeWire, and now it's like the community, the team. They're like, nah, let's bring this thing back. This makes sense. It's kind of like what happened with GameStop, right? Like GameStop was going to zero, getting shorted by all the banks. And then all of a sudden the community's like, nah, I love GameStop. They were classic back in the day. And they just started buying all the stuff, like buying it all, the price goes up. And then all of a sudden they launched an NFT marketplace or a gaming marketplace. So I love it. Community-led things are the best.
Oh, it's so true. And I'm just going to give you a couple quick hitters to show you how much is happening with music and Web3. First is Steve Cooper, who's the head of Warner Music, on their quarterly earnings call last week, talked about Web3. He specifically mentioned how important Web3 is to the growth of music. And, you know, I think there's sometimes this belief that, and I've got a photo of Steve Cooper up on screen here. He's, you know, an old white guy, that these guys maybe aren't going to embrace Web3 in the same way as the rest of us, but here we are seeing that in action. So that's really exciting to see.
I think he just has no choice. Whether I don't know that he wants to, but he literally has no choice. Before you go through all these, one thing I always want to mention, I don't know a ton about music NFTs, but I've seen a lot of people in the space kind of bring it up and just saying like, this is the big next thing for NFTs is music. But I haven't really dove into, I haven't bought any or like seen a lot about it, but there's actually a lot of interesting things going on in the space with music right now. So there's music NFTs where like you can just buy the song itself. And it's almost like owning some of the IP of it. There's also breaking it down into, I don't even know what they call it, but essentially like layering. So like there's different layers to a song, right? There's like the background beat, there's the bass part, there's the whatever, and you can NFT each one and then have royalties. And if it gets used in other songs, which they often do with remixes and other things, you now can earn some from like that. So that's really interesting. There's a bunch of DAOs, which I think we might talk about, but there's a bunch of DAOs that are popping up that are being like, almost like, I don't know if they're publishers. I don't even know what you call them, but basically they're like producers slash
record labels. A lot of them are record
labels, kind of like the label style, but as a DAO. So that's really interesting. There's a lot going on in the space, and I feel like it's just about to, and I feel bad for the music industry because they've already had to go through how many different like disruptions. I don't feel bad because you know what, it's about time this finally the value gets to the artists. But they've had to go through so many disruptions with technology, and they're about to just get completely wiped out again. So it's a little mind-blowing. But you know what's interesting of this all? I remember when I think I was in college, and I found this one DJ on SoundCloud, and called Chami. He was like a deep house DJ, and he was super small at the time. I was like, yo, this is really sick. And I was sharing it with everyone in my school and my friends, whatever. And like over the next year, he became like really big. I like to think it was me who did that because I started like spreading the word. But I remember thinking like, how can I share in the upside of this? How can I get some like equity in this? Like, I remember thinking that as a college student, being like, this guy's going to be big. How can I like make something off of this? I always just had this entrepreneurial mindset. There was no way for me to do that. I was a kid, had nothing to do with music. Like, I just was like, I know this guy's going to do well. And he did. And I was like, I missed out. I wish. So Web3 is about to create that, where like, if you believe in a musician, even if you have nothing to do with being at a big label or whatever, you can find a way to get equity or to get some ownership. And then you can now help that artist grow and actually earn with it. And I think it's just going to be incredible to see that play out.
Yeah. It points out the power of community in Web3 that we just keep talking about. Is there's just and the fun of that, right? Like being involved as a owner at a fractional level. But I want to bring it back to what you said at the beginning there. And I think that is one of the most exciting opportunities for music and Web3 is the way that if we can put songs onto the blockchain and then distribute royalties according to how many times a sample is used in another song, as you mentioned, the layering, it's so exciting for what that potential brings for artists. But I think that, you know, we're at the beginning. And so right now it's just, if you're an artist, get involved and try try getting, making an NFT, try different ways. There's going to be so many different ways this can play out. I got another one up here, Universal Music, talking about how they're going to use NFTs of their artists in the metaverse, and where that can go. And then I think this was a few weeks ago they announced this, because at the same time they announced that they were hiring a head of Web3 at Universal Music. So you can see all of these major players putting in a lot of different resources and capital. I know that I was looking at Warner Brothers and all the partnerships that they have in Web3, and I couldn't even comprehend the list. It was like 10 or 15 different companies that they have partnered with or that they're funding to focus on Web3 initiatives.
Love it. I mean, I love to see these bigger names kind of get into it, but the headline here is ridiculous. Universal Music aims to make money in the metaverse with NFTs of its artists. Like buzzword. And what a big company wants to make a bunch of money by launching an NFT. Like, what are you actually creating? How is this going to help the creators and the artists? That's what I want to know. And maybe just the news media here just made a ridiculous headline. I don't know, but we'll see what they do.
Yeah. And I think what else is exciting is obviously music crosses over into the in real life world, right? It's not just online that we listen to music. And so there's been a couple things that have happened. Just today, there was an announcement that FTX, which is an exchange in Europe, a crypto exchange, has partnered with Tomorrowland. Tomorrowland is one of the largest festivals in the world, particularly focused on dance and electronic music. And they are going to bring Web3 and NFTs into the in-person experience of their festival. FTX also, a few months ago, you might have seen, announced a partnership with Coachella to do the same thing. Right. So, not only is this happening in the digital space and the way we listen to music, but it's also going to affect concerts, which is also just super exciting to think about, being at a concert and having an opportunity to have an NFT, which gives you more access to something, or which gets you, maybe an opportunity to meet with an artist. Like, there's just so many things that could be, really fun about that concert experience.
Web3 is just going to seep its way into every single industry and every single crack that there is in this world, whether it's businesses or it's, governance stuff, or how we run the world and structure the world. It is literally going to make its way into everything, real world and internet. And I'm just excited to see it play out.
And I've got to give a shout out to, so in preparing for this episode, I was looking at the various Web3 music projects, and I can't even begin to list them all. But the one that I found was the best. So if anybody's out there, you're a musician, if you're an artist, and you're looking for information about how to get involved in Web3 and music, waterandmusic.com, that's waterandmusic.com, was the best resource that I found. So this is a resource that's a newsletter and research DAO, specifically focused on building resources to learn about the music industry and how to get involved if you're in the music industry and you want to use Web3. So highly recommend, check that out.
And if you're someone at Water and Music listening to this episode and you want to come on our podcast, we would love to have you on, because we would love to learn more about the music industry and Web3.
That's right. We'll have to get them on for sure in the future. All right, well, let's, taking from the music and into concerts, and NFTs are going to be at Coachella and at Tomorrowland this year. Let's talk a little bit about Web3 in real life. I think that a lot of people think about how, I'm not so interested in getting involved in Discord communities perhaps, or I'm not so much of an online person, but I want to support Web3 and I want to be involved. What are the opportunities to do that? Well, it's pretty cool to see now. This is early days, so some of these projects are pretty funny and pretty interesting, but there's some cool projects coming down that would give you an opportunity to interact with Web3 in real life. And the first one is Empire DAO, which is a DAO that's building a co-working space. So they just opened this week their first co-working space. The headline here is "Building WeWork for Web3," which is a great clickbait headline. but they're opening a space in New York that's going to give a co-working space specifically to those looking to get involved in Web3 and who have Web3 projects.
Love it. Co-works are amazing. They're so much fun. You get to meet so many cool people, and to have like a theme to it where it's like, it's all people interested in crypto and Web3. I love that. And we'll see how they incorporate a token or an NFT or whatever they're going to use. Probably an NFT, I would bet, for access. But that'll be super cool.
Yeah. You can just imagine the opportunities to use NFTs around this, education. Maybe they have sessions to learn about certain areas of business, and you get an NFT and you get a certification presented by them. I mean, huge opportunities. Now I just got a couple fun ones, because when I got down the whole of Web3 in real life, I had to bring up a couple of interesting ones that are happening. So I got a Gary V, our I was gonna say our friend, but I wish I was friends with Gary V. Maybe someday we'll have him on the pod. He announced the first NFT restaurant in New York. And so the idea here is that this is a membership-based NFT restaurant. So you have to purchase the NFT in order to access the restaurant. This is basically in partnership with a famous chef from New York. And so fun to see these types of projects happening. I mean, I don't know how much we'll see them very fast, but exciting.
It's funny they say first. I went to a crypto meetup in Medellin a couple weeks ago, and in order to get into the restaurant / bar, you needed an NFT. So it's definitely not the first. It exists, and it's friggin' super sweet. Literally, the NFT had a QR code. You had to scan the door, and it scanned your QR code. And if you had that NFT in your wallet, the door would open automatically. So Gary V, there's already people well ahead of you.
Yeah, thank the media for using that clickbait line. This is just a hilarious one that I saw that I had to share. Is Fry's DAO. So Fry's DAO is looking to make a fast food franchise that will compete with the Wendy's and the McDonald's of the world. So I just can't even. This would just make me laugh.
I'm gonna have to short this token. We don't need more fast food restaurants in this damn world. Get rid of Fry's DAO.
Yeah.
Unless they're gonna make like some healthy version of fries, like sweet potato fries or something, then I'm down. Otherwise, I'm shorting this.
And that's gonna lead us into it's funny, we in selecting our DAO of the month, Kyle and I both selected this one without even talking to each other earlier today.
What?
And that is Links DAO. So let's talk about one more in real life DAO that really did a big fundraising, and they raised over $10 million when they first launched the DAO. But now there's some things happening. And so Kyle, tell us a little bit about Links DAO.
Yeah, so Links DAO is pretty cool, and I watched this forum live. So Mike Dudas, who's I think that's how you say his name, big investor in the space, and he's been working at a lot of tech companies and in his career. And so he was one of the ones that started this, and basically it started from a tweet. And he's like, "Yo, who wants to buy a golf course?" And he's like, "I want to start a DAO, and we buy a golf course." And a bunch of people were like, "Hell yeah, let's do it." So he's like, "Okay," and he creates this Discord. And this was pre-launching any NFT or anything like that. And I think they had like 10,000 people join this Discord. And they're like, all right, what are we going to do here? Like, yes, we want to buy a golf course, but like, you can't just buy a golf course. We need to actually build a community or a real business here for this to like work long-term. And so basically they came up with this sort of, it's like let's see, what do they call it here? Links DAO is creating the modern golf and leisure club. A global community of thousands of enthusiasts have come together to create one of the world's greatest golf clubs and reimagine the country club. So basically what they've done is they launched, was it 9,000 NFTs,
Mm-hmm.
2 different tiers. So just an access-based tier. One's kind of like a VIP. And then the other one is just like to get into it. And basically what they did is, this community, they don't really have it all figured out yet, but basically they launched it all. They made, what was it, 10 million or whatever you said. They're using that money to fund a bunch of different things. And so one of the things they want to do is buy a golf course and make that their like home course. So that is going to be amazing when they actually do that. I think it's supposed to happen like mid this year. What is it? Mid 2022. The Linkstad community will support the acquisition of one of the world's greatest golf courses. So not even just a golf course. I think they're trying to get like a PGA Tour level golf course. And I think if they can do that, oh my God, that'll be so epic. So what they did though is those who bought this NFT all are now part of this this club, and now they're all working together, and they have a bunch of different positions and roles. And there are people that are looking for the right club to buy, people looking for partnerships, etc., with other clubs. And basically, if you're not a golfer, there are already a lot of like membership-based golf clubs where they have partnerships with a bunch of courses around the world. You pay like usually an annual fee, and you get to go to a course for like a bunch of private courses or maybe public courses, but you get in for a better rate or for free, whatever. So they're basically creating that, but it's an NFT in order to get access into it. And then who knows where they'll go with it. Basically, they said they're looking to expand and buy more locations potentially. They'll have in real life events, and they'll just, who knows what else they'll do. Maybe they'll do merch. Maybe they'll create, I don't know, golf clubs, golf balls, who knows. But just a really cool idea. And what I really like about it, and it goes with your in real life, is this is now a membership where people from all over the world who are in a Discord are now going to go and golf with each other, right? And actually, if you go to the third tab up there, they're all going to meet in the real world. They're all going to go and play golf. And on this one, someone tweeted out, I think this was today, once it loads up here. Yeah, she goes, so this weekend I gathered with 150 Linkstad degens in Austin for an NFT holder golf invitational. Can't wait to see if they look like their Discord PFPs. So, you know, it's Web3 sort of bringing people together in the real world. They're creating a real business out of this. This isn't just a gimmick, right? They're going to buy a golf course, which is a business. And what's interesting is the funds that they raised, if you go back to the website, they listed what these funds are going to go to. And it's funny, when people start a DAO, there's a lot of things you don't realize. But if you go down, I just want to show this so that people think about this if they're going to start a DAO. Where did I see it? Somewhere. Yeah, here it is. Okay, here. So the proceeds of the NFT sale will go to a chief DAO officer and operational leadership, including course scouting, financial and acquisition planning, product and engineering, someone to build whatever stuff they're going to build, DAO infrastructure and setup fees. So remember, when you start a DAO, there are tools that you want to use, and typically those cost. And so you need some funding to do that. Legal, compliance, and accounting. This is definitely something people need to be thinking about, especially if you want to use your DAO to buy something in the real world, like land in a business. You're going to need a lot of legal. Of course, this is a business, and they need this business to grow. So they need some of these funds to go to marketing, to partnerships, to sales, right? You don't just launch a DAO and like, hey, sweet, we launched a DAO, we got a token, and this is going to be, you know, the best thing ever. It's a business. You need to actually do things. They need community development and then further initiatives that the DAO decides on. And so basically anyone with the NFT gets to use that NFT to access the membership, but also to vote and decide who gets these roles, how much money these people should get for these roles, and kind of other things that they're going to do. So we're watching a business form, and it's just fully open and transparent. And I think that to me is one of the coolest things in the world.
Yeah, and I think the things that stand out to me about this are how quickly something like this can happen. Like right. It would just, you know, we've talked about this a bunch. The pace of Web3 is like far superior to the pace of Web2 or traditional business models. You know, you're talking about buying a golf course with 10,000 strangers around the world in less than a year, right? Yeah. Can you imagine organizing that? So, you know, if you're passionate about something, think about just this for a second. You can either go find a Discord community that also loves Beanie Babies, or you can start one yourself, and within a year you could raise money and have an entire business where everybody is involved and has ownership of it. I mean, it's mind-blowing.
Beanie Babies.
I don't know why
I
picked Beanie Babies. I think my mind was on collectibles for some reason.
Yeah, right. Makes sense.
And I was trying not to pick another sport. I was trying to appeal to a different audience.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's truly mind blowing to me.
For the listeners, if you are not yet in the Web3 Academy Web3 Academy Discord, join the Web3 Academy Discord, because our goal is to also create some sort of DAO. And hopefully we will become the DAO of the month, either on our podcast or ideally someone else's podcast. But we sort of talked about this in the What is Web3 Academy video, the first one that we ever launched, if anyone has seen that. But the goal here of Web3 Academy and why we're teaching all this is we're trying to build a community of people who are doers in the space, entrepreneurs, creators, marketers, whatever, building things in the space. And if we can build a community of these people and get us all together, which we are in the Discord, in the coming months to, I don't know, hopefully months, I don't want to say anything longer than that, we want to create our own DAO. And what that DAO will entail, we don't know. We have some products we want to create to help onboard all of the next group or phase of people who come into Web3 and help them figure out how to build businesses. So whether we create courses or we expand our newsletter and we have more writers, et cetera, that'll be something that the DAO decides. We want to create incubators, right? Where we can bring in people who want to create cool ideas or cool DAOs, and Web3 Academy can fund those ideas and help, not just fund, but also provide resources and consulting and maybe even labor. We'll see who's all a part of this. And who knows where else that can go. Honestly, it can go to as many ideas as possible. And what we want is to cultivate a community, which happens in the Discord. We want your ideas and we want you guys to help us build this DAO. Because I think if we can get a bunch of people who are smart and entrepreneurial and are doers, we can make a lot happen for the Web3 space. And so that's really the goal of Web3 in the future anyway. And so, yeah, if you're interested in that and that excites you, hop in the Discord. It's in the description below. And let us know. That's something that we're going to be chatting about over the next weeks to months until we figure out and execute on our plan.
And it doesn't matter what you do currently. We want anybody who is passionate about Web3, but also passionate about the philosophies of permissionless, trustless, community-led ownership. You know, even if you don't really know much about Web3, but you're just passionate about building communities, like we want you there, right? There's opportunities that are going to be just, I mean, it's going to blow us all away. So yeah, jump in, join the movement. Come on, let's go.
Come on, let's go. Amazing. Is that it? Do we have any more news for the
That's
week,
it.
or is that all we got?
That's all we got for today.
All right. I wanted to say it's the weekend, but it's not because we still have Friday, but I'm going to treat this as the weekend.
Well, everybody, thanks for tuning in. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.
Doers, friends, take it easy, and we'll see you next week. We got some great interviews coming up. Take care, everyone.
Cheers.
Thank you for listening to Web3 Academy. We hope this helps you along your Web3 journey. And if it does, please share this episode and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. By the way, if you have yet to join the Discord community, you are missing out. This is where all the magic happens. This is where we learn, where we ask questions, where we network. You want to be in there. The link to join is in the description below. And finally, a quick disclaimer. Nothing in this podcast was financial advice. Crypto and Web3 can be risky. You can literally lose it all. In fact, if you invest on account of what we say, you probably will lose it all. So don't do that. In all honesty, the point of this podcast is to remove the noise of markets and price and focus on utility and implementation anyway. So you should not take any of this as financial advice. Thank you, friends, and see you in the next one.